What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. We're just chit-chatting over here. Welcome back to the channel. So we are back today doing the second half of our top 10 films of 2016. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And so if you caught the first show, as always, we do our number 10 through number 6. This will be the second show, which is our number 5 through number 1. We'll also want to stay to the end because we'll have our honorable mentions, and then we'll also do our challenge films for 2017. So you want to hang out for that as well. We got a lot of films to cover, so I say we just get right into it right now, so we don't waste any time. So I'm actually going to have you start on this one this time. So I'll have you start with your number 5 film of 2016, and I'll bring that in. That film is called Tower.
Tower. Yeah, this is a really, really awesome movie that I highly recommend. A lot of people have never heard of this movie, but it is. It's a documentary, mostly. It's about the mass shooting that happened in 1966, where Charles Whitman climbed to the top of the clock tower at the University of Texas and started just shooting people. And the movie is. Basically, it's a really unique approach to this kind of story because it is based on the first-person experiences of people who were there that day, and it kind of recreates these experiences using animation, like rotoscope-style animation, like Waking Life. So that kind of animation that kind of recreates the stories of the people that experienced it, and it's really just really absorbing and really powerful. And really suspenseful. I mean, it really has this way of really like grounding you in what it was like to be there that day, from the perspective of students, police officers, including the people who eventually did get to the top of the tower and ended the situation. And it's really, really intense. And I know dramatic reenactments can be cheesy, but something about the animation here makes it more like a really good just dramatization. It's hard to say. I mean, hard to describe, but it's an incredible movie. Really involving, really moving, really suspenseful and intense. Just a great movie that I think far too few people have heard of. So yeah, I definitely recommend Tower. It's my number 5.
All right. Yeah, I've never even heard of that film. Definitely haven't seen it or anything of that nature. Sounds interesting. I mean, it does sound a little weird that it's kind of like, that not animation or whatever it is over something that's really like serious. I don't know. So that's cool. Sounds a little.
Trust me. I know what you mean. But trust me when I say it works.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it's fine. But it just on the offset, it looks a little. Would give me some pause. So, I don't know if my family was involved.
Unpause it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. If my family was involved in these events, I might. I don't know. I'd be like, I don't know. But yeah, no.
Just trust me.
All right.
I mean, have I ever led you wrong, Kier?
Yes, many times. Many times, actually. I mean, pretty much every time.
Whatever.
Maybe I'll check it out someday. Who knows? We'll see. So
it's real good.
Cool. All right. Well, moving on to my number 5 film. And just to preface, so this film actually it was originally in my top 5, but I made a mistake for my top 5. So I had slotted it out. So I was going to do it like an honorable mention because I hadn't seen it in many years. So because I had to put something else back in because I made a mistake on a year for another film. So I was like, well, this was already in my top 5 at one point. So I just decided to put it back in there. So it may go up or down is what I'm saying if I watch it again. So, but for now, it's back in number 5. And then number 5 is going to be Train to Busan, which is a zombie movie. So, but just a really, really good action zombie thriller. And then, like I said, these zombies are supposedly I think they're very similar to the zombies that were in Hashtag Alive. So it's kind of that same kind of vein. So I think it's very similar to that one as well.
Both Korean.
Yeah, and they're both Korean as well. So yeah, but they're like the fast moving zombies that they turn relatively quick, but it's not like 5 seconds, I guess, like 28 days later or whatever, where they turn like almost immediately. These ones, I think you get like 5 minutes of, to get the heck out of there. But but you still don't have a lot of time, But you do have a little bit of time. So maybe it's even longer than 5 minutes because I can't remember this one as much, but I know like #alive, like the dude came into his apartment or whatever that was already bitten. He was in there for a little bit before he turned. So, but it's a really good film about people obviously on a train with zombies and, lots of bloodletting and shooting and bites and people turning into, well, I guess I don't know if they're technically zombies. They're like infected. We always have to preface that because I know there's like the purists that'll say that they're not really zombies. They're like, something else. They're infected or something of that nature, but they're zombies. So, so that is my number 5, Train to Busan.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's great. It's in my runner-ups for sure. It's just really exciting, really fast-paced, really fun. Yeah, I love it. And I did rewatch it not too long ago, and it definitely does hold up, I can say.
I haven't seen it I haven't seen it maybe since theaters or whenever. I don't even know if I saw it in theaters. I might have watched it from home, but I haven't seen it since the first time that I saw it. So.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, and then I watched it again at home, like I don't know, maybe a year ago or something, and I actually bumped the rating up 0.5 star. So yeah, it's really cool, really fun, good movie. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Moving right along to your number 4 film, and I'll bring that in for you, and it is The Wailing.
The Wailing, yeah, another Korean horror film, not a zombie film, not a zombie movie. Yeah, this is going to sound really weird, but I think it doesn't really matter because I don't remember what this movie is about. I don't remember what it's about because it's a really mysterious. Like that's going to sound like not a very good endorsement, but basically I haven't watched it.
But it's awesome. Check it out.
Yes, it's that kind of movie. But I mean, it's the kind of movie where you don't want to know anything going in anyway. Like the synopsis says something like a stranger shows up in a small town, and soon thereafter a strange sickness starts spreading. It's a very vague synopsis because the best thing about this movie is to go in totally blind. And I remember that's what I did, and I was absolutely blown away. I avoided it for a little while, even though it got really good reviews, but I avoided it for a little while because it's really long. It's like 2 hours and 36 minutes. And I was like, oh, why does everything have to be 2 hours and 36 minutes these days? Even though it's a horror movie, I put it off for a long time, but then I finally watched it, and I felt like a dummy for putting it off for so long because it's really good. I don't remember the story because it's a mysterious, twisty, turny story. I need to rewatch it. I did buy it, but I just remember it's scary, it's spooky, it's suspenseful, it's got great characters, it's even funny, and it kept me like on the edge of my seat and like trying to keep up with all the crazy twists and turns for the full 2.5 hours. So I may not remember what it's about, but I definitely remember how I felt watching it, which was like this the whole time. So I definitely recommend this movie, and you can watch it and remind me what it's about.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, so far you're 2 for 2 for films that Kier has not seen. Probably 2 for 2 for films that most people watching haven't seen. But I don't know.
Well, they've both got 90+% on Rotten Tomatoes, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're bad films. I'm just saying nobody's probably heard of them. So, but no, cool. Another one that maybe someday down the road I check out. Although 2 hours and 36 minutes for a horror movie does sound a little long, to be honest with you. But yeah, so might not be one that I rush out and see. That's for sure. So
yeah, that's why I avoided it. But then I wished I hadn't. So.
Any film that I'm not going to the theater to watch, that I'm watching at home. You know what I mean? That I haven't already seen anyways. I'm kind of always a little, you know what I mean? I'm like, I always have enough time to watch a movie, but usually in my head, it's like 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So anytime anything's like longer than like maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm automatically like, maybe there's something else I can watch. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's going to be a lot of time out of my day. So, but you never know.
Yeah.
I'm going to get bored one day and I'll watch The Wailing. If I can find it anywhere, I'll probably have to borrow from you.
What? No, you can find it. Like it was on. I think it's on Hulu. Yeah, it's on Hulu actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have no excuse.
I do have an excuse because my Hulu subscription has commercials, so that'd be my excuse. So really, instead of 2.5 hours, it's really like 5 hours with all the commercials. So cool. All right, well, moving right along to my number 4, and that is going to be The Conjuring 2. So that is my number 4 film. Definitely like this one quite a bit. Most people have seen The Conjuring. Don't have to explain it. Obviously, it's a series. We reviewed the 3rd one not that long ago that just came out in theaters. But this one might be my favorite one of the 3. I don't know, just something about it. I guess because it was the only one that really like scared me. The first one was scary. But this one, there's just something about that imagery of the witch that really just like freaked me out. So I was like, oh, that is pretty scary. The
Nun, you mean, right?
I mean, I'm not the witch, the nun. Yeah, I'm sorry, the nun. The nun, just really, really scary. Just the face makeup they use on her and stuff like that. And there's just that scene where he draws a picture of her on like some like a board or whatever, and like she's like looking at the nun at the picture, and then the picture starts coming at her or whatever. Like that was some pretty freaky stuff.
What's scary about that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. That's just a good time. But,
that happens to me every day.
Yeah. But yeah, this one was pretty freaky. I definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, it's really, really good. And like I said, what I do like about the Conjuring movies is they are kind of based on, they're based on real people and real cases at the very least. So whether you believe all these things as they say happened, that's another story. And then obviously there's, of course, embellishments on top of that, for the movie. But obviously you have to believe the Warrens in the first place to believe all this stuff happened. But I do like things that are, especially like a horror film that's based on something that's real and that sort of stuff. And I tend to like even shows that are true crime shows and things of that nature, so I'm into that kind of stuff, so anything that's based on something that really happened, even if it is, embellished or they add stuff to it, or you don't even believe the Warrens to begin with, they're just a couple crazy old kooks or something, you know what I mean? I mean, take it for what it is, but I still like things that are based on real stories. And because I don't know, for me it's fun to like watch something and then I go back and kind of see kind of things happened in the case or what happened in the events and things of that nature. So, but really, really scary and fun film. So that is my number 4 film, The Conjuring 2.
Yep. Another one that I really, really like that is in the runner-ups for me. 2016 was a really good year for me. A lot of really good movies that didn't even make the top 10. But yeah, I'm not sure. I always had a hard time making my mind up whether I like the first one or the second one more, but I love them both a lot. So yeah, this one, I think it might be the scariest, but I think the first one's really scary too.
The first one is scary too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not scary, because definitely there's some pretty freaky stuff,
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I love them both. So yeah, great choice.
Cool. All right, moving on to your number 3 film. We'll bring that in for you, and that is going to be OJ Made in America.
Okay, yes. I know you're probably going to fight me on this because technically it's a miniseries. It was a documentary miniseries for the 30 for 30, I think it's called, series on ESPN. I'm not really a sports fan, so I don't. This is probably the only thing I've ever watched on ESPN in my life.
Right.
So. But yeah, it is technically a miniseries. It's almost 8 hours long. However, it is amazing. So they wanted to get it in for the Academy Award consideration. So they actually screened it in theater so that it would qualify. And to me, like the Academy Awards recognized it as a film. It actually went on to win the Oscar for Best Documentary Feature Film. So I think it counts as a film, and also it's absolutely amazing. It's a really amazing documentary series. It's not, I think what's most important to tell people, it's not remotely just about the O.J. Simpson trial, which is interesting anyway. I mean, it's an interesting case. It happened when, that whole thing happened when you and I were in high school, and I'm sure we both remember it really well. I do.
Oh yeah, everybody. I think everybody more or less remembers the O.J. Simpson trial. It was probably the biggest trial that ever happened in the history of trials. You know what I mean? Like, as far as televised, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there was anything like more televised or more around the clock. I mean, nowadays everything gets televised. The Derek Chauvin police officer trial and things of that nature. But prior to the O.J. Simpson trial, there really wasn't any trial that I can think of, that was just televised and broadcasted everywhere. And even the verdict itself, when it was announced, I mean, the entire world pretty much stopped to listen to the verdict. Like, that's how big it was, and that was one of the cases where nobody really even knew. I mean, even with the Derek Chauvin trial that just happened, I kind of assumed he was going to get some time. You know what I mean? I kind of assumed he was going to be guilty just because there's just so much circumstance of evidence. He's on video, with his knee on somebody's neck. I mean, I don't know how more clear you can get than that. This one, It was a lot that people didn't know, and it also divided the country quite a bit too. Same with the Derek Chauvin trial as well. But people were divided. There were many people that thought OJ was innocent, and there were obviously just as many people that thought he was guilty. And it also divided the country based on race. Unfortunately, typically more white people thought he was guilty, and more black people thought he was innocent. And so it was just kind of a really weird time in the country at that point. So it was something that was. Just a strange time, a strange trial, a lot of fanfare, a lot of drama around it. And then, obviously this miniseries is definitely, it was good. I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was great. So,
yeah, this film, you said miniseries, but it's a film. No, I'm just kidding. It's both. I know. But yeah, I mean, it really goes into all that stuff. You know what I mean? And, it really explores why it divided the country, and it's not just about the trial. It's about the entire history. It's about all the parties involved, their whole history, but also the history of like racial relations in the country, but especially Los Angeles and the LAPD and the LA riots, and to kind of explain how it all kind of arrived at this moment that really captures a lot, unfortunately, about what America is, and it's something that I really got a lot out of, because, at the time, I believed he was guilty too. I still believe he's guilty, but I always did feel really uncomfortable with being lumped into this, because I thought he was guilty. I didn't want to be assumed to be complicit with police brutality or anything like that. It wasn't like I was on that side. I just thought, what I mean? Like, so I never really, the whole thing made me really uncomfortable at the time, and it still does. And it's still really, like you said, a really haunting period in this country's history. And I mean, it's, things haven't changed a whole lot, unfortunately. So, it's a really great series that goes into a whole lot of stuff, and it really explores all of those things in a very detailed way, and it kind of blew me away. And yeah, it was long. It's a mini series, but the Academy Awards recognized it as a film, so I'm recognizing it as a film. So it's up there in my top 5 for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I personally don't recognize it as a film. I think of it more as a mini series. I'm not going to fight you over that, but it's like I said, you could, there are stand-up comedy specials that are like on Letterboxd that people rate and say are films, you know what I mean? And those ones didn't even air in theaters always, you know what I mean? But people consider them to be films as well. So, I mean, it just goes. I personally don't do that typically, but so I wouldn't put it in my top 10 just because I thought of it as more of a mini series because I watched it over several courses of days and things of that nature. To me,
me too. I didn't watch it all at once.
I mean, to me, it's as much of a film as Night Stalker is a film. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I mean, you might argue that that's a film too. But it's just to me, I just saw it as a mini series, but. To each their own. I mean, like I said, I did enjoy it. It is a really, really good series to watch or film to watch or whatever you want to call it. Well, I mean, anytime there's parts and you have to wait for it's like, what were there? How long is it? The thing like 6 hours or something?
7 hours and 47 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's if I can't watch it all in one setting in a day. I'm like, is it a film? So I don't know. So like I said, I mean, I'll let the viewers decide whether they consider it to be a film as well. But it is really good. And like I said, it was a really interesting time in America. And I was in high school, and obviously I was aware of racism. I was aware of but I didn't realize how divided we were on a lot of those issues. I mean, obviously everybody knows the big issues, gay rights, abortion rights, civil rights, I guess, if you will. There's a lot of different issues that people are divided on, gun rights, things of that nature that divide the country. But there, a lot of them, but this was a different kind of divide. This was definitely, and you weren't necessarily a bad person on either side necessarily in this case. You know what I mean? I didn't inherently lump anybody that thought he was guilty to be like a racist or anything. But what I do know is that the people that were racist were also people that found him to be guilty as well. And so it's like one of those things where it does put you kind of in an awkward position. It's kind of like, not to get too political, but it's kind of like the Trump thing. There's, not everybody that voted for Trump I consider to be a racist, but I do know a lot of people that were racist that voted for Trump. You know what I'm saying? So there was, so there's that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I felt a little bit about the O.J. Simpson trial. So it's kind of like figuring out where people stood. And to be honest with you, it really came down to the lawyers. Just you got to hand it to Johnny Cochran and his because he created beyond the reasonable doubt. He created that. You know what I mean? He's the one that exposed the corruption within the Los Angeles Police Department. Possible tampering with evidence. All kinds of different things that he was able to expose, which created a reasonable doubt. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's like beyond a reasonable doubt. And he created that reasonable doubt with, Furman and, the racist cops that were involved. And you know what I mean? And so that's kind of where you kind of like, well, you can see how whether you thought he was innocent or guilty, that there's a chance that, maybe he was innocent. I mean, obviously, after years have passed, the more years that go by, I think most people came to the conclusion that he was probably guilty. So, we'll never know for sure what happened, obviously, unless he comes out and admits it or someone else admits something. But there's still a lot of debate about whether he even did it by himself. You know what I mean? There's still that debate as well. So somebody else could have been involved with him, or somebody else could have helped him, or something of that nature. But here nor there. But no, great miniseries,
great film. Whatever.
But cool choice. But I did really enjoy it. So
yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Right. So here's where it's going to start getting a little bit confusing. So we're moving on to my number 3, and like I said, here's where it definitely gets just a little bit confusing. So I'll bring that in. So my number 3 is actually going to be. Oops, I messed up there. Sorry. My number 3 is actually going to be Green Room, which is a really, really. Really good thriller, I guess, if you will. It stars what's his name? Anton. What's the guy's name?
Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, who passed away, unfortunately, a few years after making this film. But basically, he's in a punk rock band, and if you haven't seen it, he's in a punk rock band that basically they travel. They don't have a lot of money. They basically kind of like live and sleep out of their van for the most part, and they travel to do like gigs at different punk rock shows, and a lot of times they're doing gigs at these really underground, rough places, and sometimes they have to do gigs at places that are like, white supremacists, going from O.J. Simpson to white supremacists, that are white supremacists, and they end up going to like this, like, Nazi white supremacist like club or whatever to play a show, and they the band members end up like witnessing a murder and end up getting involved, and then basically they are kind of like trapped in basically the green room area, which everybody knows. Whenever you go to like a talk show or something of that nature, there's a green room, but this is kind of like their waiting area. They basically getting trapped in the waiting area while like there's like white supremacists, Nazis, skinheads, whatever you want to call them, are basically trying to like attack them and kill them, basically, in a nutshell. So that's kind of the gist of it, and it's got a the Star Trek guy, Patrick
Stewart.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart as like a
the
bad
Star
guy.
Trek guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only guy really. I mean, I know he's like in
I know.
he's also Professor X or whatever, but that's kind of what I always remember him from. But yeah, he plays a bad guy in there. He plays a really really good. He makes a great Nazi. You know what I mean? He makes a great.
He didn't have to shave his head.
He didn't even have to shave his head. It was already bald. So he just he just rolled right into the role. He just showed up to set and they were like, roll.
Yep.
But no, I really really enjoy Green Room. I think it's a really really good thriller, horror, action, whatever you want to call it. It's just a really really good film. That is my number 3, Green Room. Jason?
Yeah. I think the best thing to do would just be to roll right on to my number 2.
Yes.
Which is, drum roll, Green Room.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So yeah, I absolutely, right. I absolutely love this movie. This movie is like so many. It checks off so many boxes for me. I've been using that phrase a lot lately, but it's true. It really does. I love. Well, we both love those kind of like siege style movies where people are trapped in a place and have to kind of get their way out. Kind of very Assault on Precinct 13 style. Right. And probably not you so much, but I am a huge punk rock fan. So I love the music too, the music aspect and the touring band aspect of it. And I know I have a lot of friends who are in punk rock bands, and I know enough about punk rock to know that unfortunately this contingent is out there. I mean, it is like a subsection of the punk rock scene. Unfortunately, there's racist skinheads in punk rock. There's anti-racist skinheads in punk rock. It gets a little confusing, but anyone who's in a punk rock band knows that there's this contingent out there. They're like a very small minority of the scene, but they are out there. So so that adds a level of realism to it. There are these kind of places in the backwoods that are like this, and you can, a touring punk rock band just trying to scrape by probably might take that gig and regret it, but they need the money, so. But yeah, it's just a great thriller, one night kind of like suspenseful, unpredictable, violent movie. And it's got a lot of really good actors in it. Mm-hmm. It's great to see Patrick Stewart play a bad guy. It almost happens because he's got that kind of, wise old man thing going on in most of his roles.
He still has a wise old man thing going on, but he's just a villain.
Right. He's a wise old neo-Nazi, I guess you could say. Yeah. Very business-minded. That's what's funny. Like I've also, I've worked in theaters before, so I laugh at things when he, in the middle of this thing going on, he points out, move that, it's a fire hazard. I've worked in theaters, so I know like a manager of an establishment like that, even in the middle of something like this, would say tell somebody to move that, it's a fire hazard. So there's just a lot of cool details in this. I really like the director, Jeremy Saulnier. He made a movie right before this called Blue Ruin, which I also really like. I think it's another really good.
Blue Ruin's really good too. Yeah, that's another really action film, if you will, as well. So
just kind of
a revenge film. So
yeah. He's got that cool kind of like violent, low budget indie kind of thing going on. That's like really good. And he made a movie after that called, I can never remember if it's called From the Dark or Hold the Dark, with Jeffrey Wright, that I really wanted to like, and it just wasn't that great for me. But he's got another one that's filming right now that sounds good. So I like that guy. Love this movie. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. All right, we'll bring that on down. So that made it pretty easy. And then my number 2, we'll bring that in real quick. It's going to be Moonlight. So my number 2 is Moonlight. Which is another really, really good drama, if you will. It's a very interesting tale. Obviously, most people have at least heard of Moonlight. I don't know that many people have seen it. I know a lot of people have heard it because of all the Oscar nominations, but when I talk to a lot of people haven't seen it, surprisingly. It is because it is kind of an indie film, and it's basically about one person, one African-American person, and it's kind of told through the eyes of 3 different characters at different ages of his life. So one when he's like a little boy, one when he's like a teenager, and one when he's like a grown man kind of thing. And and it just kind of deals with like all the different relationships that he gets involved with, all the different types of men in his life, father figures, that sort of stuff, women in his life, and that sort of stuff. So it's a little hard, complicated to fully describe it without ever seeing it. But it's basically his story in a nutshell, told from 3 different points of his life. Basically, it's the best way to describe it, in my opinion. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's my number 2 film, and it rolls right into
my number 1 film, which is Moonlight. Yeah. Yeah, this movie's great. Like you said, it's about African American man who is also gay, kind of struggling with himself at 3 very pivotal points in his life. Like you said, when he's a kid, teenager, and like an adult. And yeah, it's just a really great movie. It's one of those movies that it's kind of hard to get somebody excited about because it's like, yeah, it's this really awesome movie. It's about this guy and his life, you know. I mean, like most people are like, yeah, I'd rather watch some car chases or something, you know. But it's just a really beautiful movie. It's really powerful. It's extremely well acted. It's extremely well made. It definitely deserved. You know, I am a fan of La La Land. I did like La La Land a lot, but you know, I do think you know, the big fake out at the not really a fake out, but you know. If anybody saw the Academy Awards that year, they accidentally announced La La Land as the winner of Best Picture when it was actually Moonlight, which got corrected after a few seconds, but it was kind of it was
one of the more confusing moments in Oscar history, that's for sure. So.
Right, yeah. But I think, you know, as much as I do like La La Land, you know, Moonlight, I think definitely deserved the Oscar, and it's just really well made movie. And I really like the director, Barry Jenkins, who went on to make If Beale Street Could Talk, which is also really, really good. It's not quite Moonlight good, but it's really good. And then he's done that Underground Railroad series that's on Amazon Prime right now, which I haven't watched, but I'm going to. And I know he's also working on rebooting the Nick, the Steven Soderbergh show that's on Showtime that is phenomenal. If anybody... Nobody watched The Nick, but if anybody cares, watch The Nick. It's an amazing, just 2-season show that's on Netflix. Not Netflix, Showtime, but it's fantastic. And nobody watched it, so it went away after 2 seasons. But it had like a cult following and a lot of critical acclaim. So he's actually behind the rebooting of it that's coming up. So yeah, but yeah, Moonlight's great. Barry Jenkins is great. Yeah, that's my number 1.
Cool. Yeah. So, like I said, you know, it was kind of an interesting, you know, our number, my number 3 was your number 2, my number 2 was your number 1. So, and then
that's kind of what I figured when you said that it was going to be something like that.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't
less posters for you to add, though.
Yeah, and it goes quicker, you know, when we both have the same film, especially when it's right after each other. So definitely makes it a lot easier. Well, moving on to my number 1 film of 2016, and that is going to be Hell or High Water. So just really, really love that film. Really, really good, gritty action film. It's got a lot of action in it, but it's not fully action either as well. Basically, it's about 2 brothers that basically rob a bank. There's some motives behind why they rob a bank. I don't want to go into details on that because you haven't seen it. And basically, they rob a bank, and basically the law is after them. Basically, it's kind of the best way to describe it without going too much into detail. There's definitely more to the story than that, but it has different layers, and I'd hate to give too much about it. So it sounds like it's like a straight up action film. And there is a lot of action in it, but really most of the action comes in my opinion, towards the end of the film. So, but it's more of a drama, but it's got a great cast, great story, and just a really good fun film. And same director that did Sicario, right? Or writer?
No, same writer. The guy who wrote Sicario, directed, and I think wrote this one. Wait, no, he wrote. No, I got that confused before when. What's that? The Angelina Jolie movie came out. I got it confused.
Those Who Wish Me Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, the writer of Sicario also wrote Hell or High Water, but he did not direct it. I thought he directed it.
Got it. Okay.
But he wrote and directed Those Who Wish Me Dead. So,
okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so different director, but same writer.
Same writer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really good story. Like I said, I love it. It's one that I've watched a few times from home. It's like I said, it's really, really gritty. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like kind kind of like a No Country for Old Men in that sense. You know what I mean? It's got that same kind of feel, vibe to it, kind of like that 80s feel to it, kind of gritty. It's got some really good action scenes in it, but it's not, you wouldn't necessarily describe it as an action movie per se. You know what I mean? So, but just really, really good story. And like I said, #1 film of 2016.
Well, it's not, but it's pretty cool. It's good. No, I'm just kidding. No, I love that movie. Yet again, it's yet another movie that I really loved that didn't quite make the top 10 because it was a really strong year, you know. But yeah, I think it is great. I watched it at the theater at least once, and I've watched it at home at least once, and it's one of those that just keeps getting better for me every time I watch it. And I think it's one of Jeff Bridges' best performances ever.
Oh, for sure.
Too. Yeah. It's just an excellent movie. No frills, just kind of thriller. You know what I mean? Yeah. My kind of movie for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to run through a couple of quick honorable mentions. So what wasn't in my countdown, but I actually really liked Fences, The Jungle Book, Secret Life of Pets, Cloverfield Lane. Coincidentally, I actually like the Batman versus Superman film quite a bit. So I know a lot of people don't like it. It gets kind of, you know. I don't
understand why people hate that movie. I think it's great.
Yeah. But people don't like it. But I liked it. I thought it was fun. I wasn't too big of a fan of the surprise monster or whatever at the end. But I like everything else I loved about the story. The Jason Bourne I thought was good. Keanu was good, and then 13 Hours also. That's the other one that I told you about the one about the Benghazi. So
right, yeah. Well, I've got a few runner-ups.
Yeah, 92.
Let's go through these real quick. It was a really good year. What can I say? All right, in no particular order. La La Land, Arrival, Split, The Nice Guys, Moana, Manchester by the Sea, Batman vs. Superman, Train to Busan, Nocturnal Animals, 10 Cloverfield Lane, The Edge of 17, Hell or High Water, Don't Breathe, The Conjuring 2, Patterson, Hush, Southbound, Personal Shopper, A Cure for Wellness, Autopsy of Jane Doe, The Void, Ouija, Origin of Evil, Under the Shadow, I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, and Other People.
Cool.
And that's not even all the movies I liked that year.
Yeah, so is Split actually 2016? Because I thought it was 2017. So.
Maybe.
I initially had it in my
know.
2000. And that was the one that I thought I made an error on, and then I looked it up, and it looks like it didn't come out to like January of 2017 in the U.S. or something like that.
Come to think of it, I think it did make my top 10 in the next year. So never mind. Never mind.
So
I was just going by.
I made the exact same error as you did for some reason.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it until that was the film that I removed from my countdown that I thought was in 2000 and because it would have been in my top 5. But I removed it because I thought it was 2016. But when I went to download the image of it, it was showing 2017, and I was like, oh well, maybe it's like one of those things where. And then I went and looked at the release date, and I think it technically did come out in 2017 in the U.S. anyways. So
yeah, it came out early 2017. I remember now. Yeah. Yeah, the wide release anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. So never mind. Forget that one.
Yeah.
That only leaves me with 35 runner-ups or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. And then I can bring this down now. All right, and then we have our challenge films for 2017. If you haven't watched our show before, basically what we do is I will challenge Jason to a film to watch in 2017 that he hasn't seen, that I have seen, and then he'll challenge me to a film for 2017 that I haven't seen, that he has seen. So what was your film for me?
You are going to be treated to Mom and Dad.
Never even heard of it.
Oh, man, you're in for a treat, dude. It's a crazy horror comedy with Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair. It's something to see.
Well, that sounds interesting already. It's got Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair. They're both a little quirky, so okay. Mom and Dad.
Yeah, enjoy. Yeah.
I am down. You were actually going to be watching. It was a little tougher this year. I was kind of surprised because it was like the only two that I even like remotely like was like the Fast and Furious film, which I didn't love that one as much as the other ones. I still own it because I bought the set, but I didn't love that one quite as much. So I didn't go with that one. And the other one was another one that I didn't love, but I ended up watching the sequel, so I just went with this one instead. So you're going to be watching The Hitman's Bodyguard.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be one of those two.
Yeah, well,
one of those two.
Really
yeah.
I mean, there was a couple others that I had seen, but I didn't like them either. So I was like, well, I'm not going to sign something that I absolutely loathe. So none of them are going to. Neither one of them would have made my top 10 list for 2017. But I didn't. I didn't hate Hitman's Bodyguard, and you might like it, and and I did like the
sequel.
Yeah, the sequel. But that was mostly because I like Salma Hayek's character in there. She was really, really good. She's just really profane and nasty in there. So it just yeah. If nothing else, watch it just for her. But she's really, really good in there. The story.
I knew you were going to be picking one or the other, and that would kind of set me up for seeing the sequel that just came out this year. For
exactly.
both of those,
if you like it enough, so
but
of course, if you loathe it.
For the record, for the record, I'm glad you went with that one of those two.
Well, I already know you're not big on the Fast and Furious, and that's there's been 10 of them now or 9 of them or whatever. So why am I going to subject you to another one? It's like they all kind of run together after a certain point. Even for myself, I can't differentiate between. I get confused too when people are talking about. I'm like, was that 7 or was that 8? I don't remember. I remember like the first one, the second one, and then like the 5th one. The other ones are all kind of some semi-interchangeable to some degree. You know what I mean?
I don't hate the movies. Like I haven't hated any of them. I just, they just all kind of, they have no effect on me is what I'll say. I get interested for like a few minutes, if it's like a really good action scene, I'll be engaged for like a few minutes. And then when it goes back into the non-action stuff, I just kind of zone out again. So
that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I like them. I'm an action guy, so I just live, fast cars and stunts that are unbelievable and things that could never ever happen of like that type. I mean, obviously there are more car racing and stuff like that. I mean, it's definitely probably on the lower end of like the sequels of action, like the Bourne films or the Mission Impossible films and things that I definitely would gravitate more towards Mission Impossible or Jason Bourne over the Fast and Furious ones. But I do like the Fast and Furious films. I just think they're just over the top. They're going to be crazy. In every single one of them, they're going to do something that they, is not possible, flying, driving cars out of airplanes with like parachutes and, things of that nature, without even doing a test run first. But
I don't hate them. I just, I'm definitely more, the Mission Impossible series is more my cup of tea. It's just more variety, more humor, more, I don't know. This is more my cup of tea. Yeah.
Cool. Nothing wrong with that. Well, cool. Well, that is it. Well, let us know down in the comments if you've seen any of these films. Do you like them? Did we leave any films off our countdown? Any films that we should be watching from 2016 that maybe we missed. Maybe we have seen it. We just didn't put it in our honorable mentions. But let us know. As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our updates. And we'll be back again with another show for you guys again real soon. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day.